Hello and welcome. This is episode 94 of Album Review, and today I have the third album by progressive metal band Dream Theater. And yeah, this is like I said, this is the third overall record by this band. And of course, when they made their debut album in '89, that album was not the best received because you still had Charlie Dominici on vocals, and he just wasn't the right fit, and the album wasn't just very consistent. Just not in the slightest. They got, of course, Images and Words, which was a global phenomenon. And yeah, the difficult part is that is probably one of the best sequel albums ever made, Images and Words. And I've also reviewed that, so if you're curious, then it is on the channel. So yeah, it is really difficult to follow a album up like Images and Words because it is pretty much a perfect record. Yeah, you know the rating already, but watch it anyway if you're curious about my opinion. But yeah, it is really difficult to make a sequel to that sequel. So this was already a highly anticipated record because I believe I can speak. James Labrie said that they didn't have fans in the past with the when Day and Dream stuff like that, when Dream and Day unite, they didn't have any fans or not a lot. Emerson's Words, they had a lot of fans of that record because just a lot of listeners listened to that progressive metal record. So yeah, they had basically a lot of fans that were highly anticipated about this record. So they had some pressure on them to make sequels because that is really difficult if you have made a record like Images and Words. But I would say that they basically made the perfect sequel record. Yeah, of course you cannot beat Images and Words. That is really difficult. It is basically impossible. You can debate that with me if they did that in the future. It's a later record, but we will eventually get to that. Trust me. But still, with this record, it is seen together with Images and Words as the greatest record by this band. Yeah, and I have to agree with the fans, with the critics, because in my opinion, this album flows probably the best out of all Dream Theater records. And what I mean with that is that um, just you just cannot beat Images and Words. You cannot beat a record like that. This is pretty much impossible. But how consistent this record is also really phenomenal. And on later records, it was still um, just don't get me wrong. The albums later are still really good as well. And you have some amazing tracks later, but the problem is that not everything on those later records is perfect. You have some songs here and there that are really great, but the rest is otherwise forgettable or maybe not as good as some other songs. And um, the second record, Images and Words, and this one is really well balanced. I have a really hard time to pick a favorite with this record. So yeah, you, you have the opening song, which is 6 o'clock, which is written by Kevin Moore. You have I believe a opening, a just a man that is saying six o'clock on a Christmas morning, stuff like that. I'm I'm not really sure what they mean with that, but it felt really dreamy. The keyboards were not all over the place, but the keyboards were very present on this song. Were really enjoyable, and it is also written by Kevin Moore, so it was in my opinion a really enjoyable song, a great opener for this record. And 6 O'Clock is also seen as a classic by Dream Theater fans and critics. So the opening song is still a really enjoyable one that heavily dominated by the keyboards and other instruments, but especially keyboard. Just the keyboard player Kevin Moore kills it on this one. He also written it, so they get a song like Caught in a Web, which is the second one. Also a great one, really loved it as well. This is written by James LaBrie and John Petrucci, and you can definitely hear that James LaBrie also wrote this because he is way more present on this track. Really some catchy hooks, really some great bass lines by John Mayong, but especially James LaBrie is really dominating on this song, which is a really good thing because he usually doesn't write the songs, but here he writes some songs here and there, but when James LaBrie makes or writes a song, he usually makes really good ones. So, and Caught on a Web is no exception. This is a great track, a great follow up to 6 O'Clock. Yeah, and I pretty much loved it. Then we get a trilogy, which is A Mind Beside Itself 1, 2, and 3, which is Erotomania, Voices, and The Silent Man. And it is pretty funny because The Silent Man isn't the instrumental, but it is actually Erotomania. This song is, this is probably, or it reminds me a bit of a later song that we're gonna have on, or a later song on a later record. But this is basically a bit of a originator from this one. This is just Erotomania. If you want to know what Dream Theater is all about, well, except James LaBrie, then this is the track that Dream Theater just goes while Mike Portnoy is just destroying his drum kit because he is all over the place on this track, in a good way, but yeah, and just everything. The keyboards by Kevin Moore are absolutely phenomenal. Just the entire band, yeah. The band Dream Theater is of course known for having really complex and really odd time signatures in their songs. So the fourth song, Erotomania, is probably the best demonstration for if you want to know what Dream Theater is all about, and listen to this song. It is a well pleasant to your ear. It is just very well written. It is a really great instrumental, and one of their best, I would say. One of their best instrumentals. A great song like that. Yeah, the second one is Voices, which is 10 minutes long, which was a bit long, I would say. I still really enjoyed it though. These songs are also written by John Petrucci. I believe most of the songs, but the second one, Voices, is written by John Petrucci, by the way. So yeah, this song is maybe a bit long, but maybe if I come back to it with repeated listens, then I would eventually love it. So this is probably the center of the record, the Voices, A Mind Beside Itself 1, 2, and 3, which were great at that, but maybe a bit too long. Maybe if I revisit it again, then I would eventually love it. But for now, I still like it, but maybe a bit too long. And then we get the trilogy closure, which is The Silent Man, which is probably the most accessible song of this record, which is still a really good one. It is the Silent Man is a bit more on James LaBrie, a bit more concentrated on his singing voice instead of the instruments. So this is definitely the most commercial, the most accessible track on this record, which is still a really good one. Or the music is by John Petrucci. Yeah, it is written by John Petrucci. It says it here on Wikipedia twice. I'm not really sure why, but there we are. But this is a great trilogy closer. Yeah, the thing I really love about the trilogy closure, or A Mind Beside Itself what I really love about that is that Dream Theater shows how the first one, Erotomania, how instrumental they can be, voices how complex they can be, and the third one is the most accessible ones. So Dream Theater really proves that they can go all ways if they really want to. And A Mind Beside Itself, the trilogy, proves that with perfection. So that is one thing that I really love about this trilogy, that they have made it in the album, and that they show how diverse the band really is. And that is one thing I surely respect about the band. Another classic track like The Mirror, the seventh one, which is actually written by Mike Portnoy, which is, I believe, about his alcohol addiction. The mirror, of course, looking at yourself and reflecting that, well, maybe depression because he was an alcoholic back in the day. So yeah, this song is really, really, just well emotional. It is deep. It is personal. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, and this song is of course a bit more heavier on the drums because it is also written by Mike Portnoy, and he really delivers on this track. And the thing that I probably don't like about the record is, well, maybe that Mike Portnoy's songwriting was a bit less present on later records, where John Petrucci and Mike Portnoy really worked off each other really perfect, and Mike Portnoy was a bit more, well, just not present, just a bit absent on this record. He only wrote it The Mirror, so, but still a great song though. So his songwriting was still on here, but not as much as just other records by this band, which was a bit of a shame. But he still contributed to the songwriting, which is well, he may not have written a lot, but what he wrote it on this record is great. The 8 one is Lie, the 8th track, which is, I actually put this song on just a moment ago. Yeah, just the bass lines by John Mayong are absolutely phenomenal on this track. Just on the entire record, but on Lie, especially just how the keyboards, the guitar and the bass line are just in groove, just in place, are so well balanced with each other on this entire record, and especially on Lie. That is just one thing that just blows my mind, how perfectly it works for this track. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites of this record. Well, also 6 o'clock, and well, the 8-1 Live, which is both written by Kevin Moore, which basically proves how great of a songwriter he was. Well, then we get a track like Scarred, which was a bit too long and unnecessary for me. Maybe if you would put it off the track listing, then well, the album would be an hour long, which was basically perfect, which was also the length of Images and Words. So that would be, well, maybe the rating would be higher if that song was not on air. Still a great song, don't get me wrong, but it was just way too long. It was almost 11 minutes long, missing just 1 second. So still a great song, don't get me wrong. Just a lot of tight interplay on this track, but just way too long. And then we ended with Space Dive Fest, which is definitely a great closure, but I have to hear it a lot more to give it to give it really a explanation for you. So yeah. And this is also written by Kevin Moore, so I definitely want to hear the song more and more and more. But my opinion, what I can give about the 11th track, what I can now say about this track is that the first time when I heard it, it was really great. It was also really dominated by Kevin Moore because he also wrote it. So just this song is just great. Just I really loved it. A great closure for this great record, and yeah, the just this song in general, I want to listen to it over and over again to really give you an opinion about, but I just cannot really do it right now because I'm not really, well, just not the biggest expert on the track at the moment, but still, just with repeated listen over and over, maybe I'm gonna re-review it again, maybe in the future, but we're gonna see about that. But just overall, this record is really great. It is not as perfect as Images and Words, and that is really a impossible task. That is really just impossible in my opinion. But for now, I really enjoyed it. Some songs like Voices and Scarred were a bit long for me. Maybe if you would cut out Scarred and maybe if Voices was a bit shorter, then maybe the album would be perfect. But for now, I still really enjoyed it with some minor exceptions and of course not being as perfect as Images and Words. But you really cannot blame them for me. That is really a 11 out of 10 record. So my rating for this record is a 9.4. Still really loved it. And probably one of my favorite Dream Theater albums, together with Images and Words, of course. So that was my album review. Just that was the album. I hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think about Awake. Do you think it is one of the best? Do you think it is one of the weakest? Let me know in the comments and we can discuss it. I really loved it, like I said, and I hope you did as well. Just the album review and the album itself, and if just the album Awake, if you haven't listened to it yet, just put it on and let me know your opinion about it. I really love this band, so just type it down and we can discuss it. Just do all those things you just said. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, of course, to the channel. You also know for more videos like this one. If I didn't say it already, do all those things and enjoy Dream Theater. They're a great band. I really cannot speak anymore. Why can I not say God bless, stay safe, take care, and have a nice day. And I'm really not sure why I'm losing my speaking voice right there, but I'm really not sure. But yeah, have a nice day.